Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing today? And welcome to the, I believe it's the fourth race already of the second season of the Classic Day Championship. Today we are here on the Cascais circuit in Portugal, driving on an old version today, the 1988 version, I believe it is. And we'll be doing a half-hour race in a moment. The drivers are currently in practice. And not so many drivers today, we only have 6. We do have a specific set of drivers with whom I think we'll have a very nice fight. Be it not for first, then it will be for second. Maybe first also. We'll have to see. We're going through the people we'll be watching today. We'll be watching, of course, Nico. Now, Nico has driven here before, as in last time. He got a very nice second place then. And today he seems to be on top of it as well. Fastest time so far in practice. Promises a lot of good for the race. But Schwarzfahrer has joined the first 2 races, decent results in them, has decent pace, so we'll see him up there. Second in practice so far is a good showing. Wujek, which I think is the essence of very good pace, but maybe lacking a little bit of consistency. Let's see what happens today with his race. We've got Cavalo, of course, co-organizer with Schwarzfahrer, standing second in the championship so far, only behind Slippy. But fourth so far in practice. I have to outperform Slippy, and that will not be easy. So let's see what happens. We've got Bertie Tom Kyle, who joined last time, I believe. Yes, finished last that race. I think he is still getting comfortable with the car, which is fair enough, and as you see, pit entry is quite hard. Yeah, he will just be driving to get comfortable with the car, to have some fun driving with others, so long as he's respectful with blue flags. If he does stay behind, of course, not a problem. And we have Slippy, who will be the main event, the main man to watch, winner of the first race, winner last race. What is he going to do today? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Will we see Slippy disappear all the way in front? Well, his only time is a 1:48, which I think might just be an in-lap, just to practice pit entry. So we don't quite know the pace. We'll know after qualifying, most likely. And yeah, we'll see what the race brings. It should be 15 minutes of qualifying, followed by a half-hour race. Not too long of a session. We do have some drivers missing, of course. I have Mick Schleifer. I don't quite know where he is. Hopefully we'll see him someday soon again. Mattelson VR also haven't seen him in a little while. And Dustin was intending to join, but his wheel does not want to, or his pedals. I don't know, I don't read German. I think it's the wheel that is broken. Send it out for repairs and should be repaired in hopefully the near future for him, so he can join in a couple of races, maybe even the next Classic Day Championship race, which will be in 2 weeks. We've got a race every 2 weeks. The next race, of course, being in, if I may find the calendar, in Silverstone. An older version, so not the one we know, but even old versions of Silverstone are quite interesting. But never mind that, we do have this track to look at, and while I would love to go on a roof camera, it's unfortunately not a great camera to be in this game. The car jitters, as you can see already. But this is an interesting track, and we'll have a really close look at it in qualifying. First run, as I like to do, just go on board with someone and see exactly how the track is to be driven. Pit entry, I think, is where a lot of time will be gained and lost. So a lot of people hit the wall here. Small tap of the wall should be fine, just do not crash into it. Damage is on. And that's the AI, I think, taking over control. And that's the practice session over. Alright. And we should be starting qualifying right now. And we'll be having a look out for who exits the pits first. That will be the driver that will be following for a lap around Cascais. I think we might be on the right track here. Cockpit, yeah, I believe Cavallor will be the man we are going to be looking at. 15 minutes qualifying, they can do that however they like. I think generally when there's freedom in qualifying of how you want to fill it in, as in not a one shot, no limited number of laps or whatever, else. Sometimes it's in sequence. Generally there's two styles. You've got, we'll go out for an out lap, a fast lap, and an in lap. And then we do that again, if it's time. There's also the style of, we'll go out with just enough fuel to make it to the end of the session. And just set laps. Now, depends on the car you're in, which one is better. But there are certain situations where you would want to be driving a lot. One of those situations, of course, when it is wet. It's not wet today, so we'll not be seeing that for that reason. Let's see what people go for anyway. We've got Voodoo Acid also joining this session. So we up to 7 drivers. Very nice to see. Voodoo Acid, I'm not sure. I don't recall that name. And that's correct, because he hasn't joined a race yet, so he is welcome to join it today, and we'll see exactly where he stands after this session already. That's always a big mystery until they come across the line with a decent time, even after qualifying. Sometimes you don't know. Some people are really inconsistent the first few laps that they do on a day. Yeah, there we go. Big braking zone is turn 1. It's not as sharp as it is nowadays. You do want a flowing exit, and through here carry as much speed as you can. Should hit that apex and a big braking zone into a hairpin. It's the first of a few. As this is another hairpin. And important to get a good exit here, because you do want a little bit of speed here. Next corner is a fast right-hander, which appears to be flat. Takes the curb a little bit, Cavallor does. And lines up for another hard braking zone into a hairpin. It's a long opening exit. Very important to get that optimal. Although the straight isn't that long after that. Still a lot of time you can lose through there. Again, good exit. I think this is slightly more important. Depends on how this particular version of track goes. Big lift for the right-hander and another one. Line up for a tight left-hander, and then this corner is an interesting one. It's a very, very long right-hander where you want to carry as much speed through it and out of it as you can, because this is again the long start-finish straight, which makes the track very interesting. And that last corner, I think, is where we will be seeing time gained and lost. As Cavallor does a 1:41 and Slippy goes under it by over 1.5 seconds. A very excellent time from him. And we do have mixed life today. Very, very good to see. Nico goes ahead of Cavallor but behind Slippy. The gap is small to Cavallor. Schwarzfager is over 2 seconds behind. I think he's got more in there. Maybe didn't quite set the lap that he wanted to set. So let's see if he's able to improve later. Mick Schleifer, of course, the legend of the Classic Day Series, won the first season. Wasn't the last time, but won the second race. So let's see if today he can bring the fight to Slippy, and how I dream of a good, fair fight between those two. Blue Acid is, of course, a complete unknown to all of us. Is he at the pace of Slippy and Mick Schleifer? Or maybe another one in the midfielder? If he's unlucky, he's right in between. I mean, it's three third places, but it's boring. So it would be nice to see him join one of the packs on the grid. And let's see what comes out of that. Got another time set by Wujek this time. Nearly 2 seconds behind Slippy. And a little bit behind Cafalor. But the gap is not so big. It's a really big slide through the first corner. This car, you can definitely drift it. We've seen it before. So I think Mick Schleifer is about to start on his first lap, or is about to finish his first lap. Let's see what he does. If there's a time on the board right now, there is not, so he will be doing his lap as Voodoo Acid at a 151.5. Early days still, but that puts him in last place, 11 seconds behind Slippy. 139.8. It's incredible that is the only time below a 140. But then the next driver is a second behind 140. Which is, I think, a testament to how difficult it really is to drive a lap time like that. They make it look easy sometimes if you're on board. Like, oh yeah, I can do that drift, and then you get your sim racing wheel and you get your automobilista. Oh, and we see Schleifer misjudging that braking point and going wide, and even he can make mistakes. I see a lot of people make mistakes throughout this qualifying session and of course the race. Go to Bertie Tom Carl. He has not set a lap time yet. Let's see if this will be his first. Very nicely liveried green Spartan car. I think I still have the default skins in Automobilista 2, and I believe those are entirely fictional. I could be wrong though. I believe that is the case. If you are, of course, watching, feel free to talk in the chat. Have your reactions there. Always nice to do a little bit of interaction. If you have questions, feel free to ask those too. So we'll be here a while. Hopefully we'll have good battles to watch though. Getting comfortable with how this car drives. It's definitely not the easiest one in the game. I'm not sure you could point to an easiest one, to be fair. There is a lot of variety. And you see a lot that skill in one car does not necessarily translate into the next. Porsche Mick Schleifer was completely dominant. I feel like he struggles a bit more with this one. Of course, you have your new gods in that place. Slippy being his name. See where Bertie puts himself. 6th place, that is a 143.5, under 4 seconds away from Slippy. Considering the time that Slippy said, I think that is a fair job. Nicely done. Now Mick Schleifer, I think he's got a little bit of bad luck. I think he's in traffic. I believe this should be one of his fast laps. I'm not entirely sure what is going on here. If he wants them to move or if he's setting up for a lap, we'll just have to see. If somebody does go wide, and it gives Mick Schleifer the position freely. always nice for him. Saves him some issues with back markers. McSlifer comes across the line for his first time of the session then. No, not yet. He was only setting up, it seems. It does mean he's only 5 minutes left to set a lap time. This guy is not an easy circuit. I'll tell you that much. It looks a lot like... I've said the word hairpin, I think, several times. A lot of corners are quite slow. Nevertheless, it's quite varied, and the geometry makes it very tricky to get any individual corner exactly right. See McSlifer having to fight the car through this corner, sliding all throughout, and then braking for this hairpin. This is where it went wrong last time, and this time he stays within the white lines. I think has a decent run through it as well. Fights the car on exit, stabilizes it nicely. I believe there would be Voodoo Acid ahead of him, who has improved a lot. Actually puts him very close to better than Kyle. And he, after making a mistake, hitting the grass, having no grip or anything, car being slowed down, he decides not to rejoin unsafely. It's very good to see, and McSlifer will be going through this last corner where you can see it is a balance for him, trying to stabilize the car with steering and throttle. About to cross the line for his first real lap time then. Where does it put him? P3 only. That is interesting. 2,000s behind Nico. That is very interesting, and I think it's also a testament to how good Nico's time is. Slippy, still the fastest, is still in pits. I think he's been there for a while. Maybe he's just confident in his time and doesn't think he can improve. Regardless, he is still sitting there. Cavalo in P4. Then we have Wujek in P5. Decent gap between him and Cavalo, but Cavalo is fairly close to Nico, and McSlifer is in between. Say fairly close. It's like within a tenth, which for the race means it can go either way. And it's all about consistency. Cavalo is a very, very solid, consistent driver. Let's see if he can turn that into his advantage and maybe gain a spot or two in the race. McSlifer, of course, also being a very strong driver. Weak on the starts. I think that's one pattern that we have picked up watching the races here. McSlifer tends to miss them a little bit. That tends to be what people get ahead. It makes races more interesting than they otherwise would be, so we are not complaining. We are enjoying that little fact. Where on track is Cavalo? He just exited turn 2. Going through turn 3 now, the first of the hairpins. We are very interested to see where he will end up. Has a decent amount of time to make up to McSlifer and Nico, but any improvements can be absolutely massive. Now, where is Nico? Nico is actually right ahead of him on track physically, so we'll be defending his position before Cavalo has a chance to take it. And after that, there will be one more lap, time for one more lap at least, for them to improve yet again. Going through the slow left-hander then to the long right-hander, last corner of the track. Having to balance it. It's a very careful balance, but comes out of it. Let's see what the time is. Also that Nico sets his time first. What's it gonna be? So it was a 141.1. It is a 140.9. Very good improvement there. And Cavallor, what does he do? I don't think he improved. Ooh, and that is scary for him. He can now see the gap though. He can now see the lap time he needs to drive to beat Nico. And it is surely going to be a challenge for him. Mick Schleifer should be on his fast lap. Otherwise he has a problem, but I think that's exactly what we are looking at right now. Mick Schleifer is pushing halfway through the lap. Braking hard into the hairpin. A decent slide through it. As long as he's got a good exit speed, it should be okay. Does need to immediately line up for another corner. Misses the apex maybe, but goes through it nicely. Now, this will be the first of these three drivers still driving. Schleifer will set his time first and see where he ends up. Will it be enough to challenge Nico? Or will he be vulnerable to any attack of Cavallor? Cavallor is not far away from overtaking Mick Schleifer. That is very possible. Across the line then, on the start finish straight anyway, the line is somewhere further up. What's it gonna be? 141.12, 140.7, and that is the gauntlet down. Mick Schleifer in P2. Now, is Nico going to improve? Is he going to beat Mick Schleifer? He is going to improve, but it's not enough. And Cavallor, his last chance, is he going to join them? We don't know. Let's have a look. He did not. No improvement from Cavallor. Stays P4. I think somebody wanted to join, but unfortunately, I think he was a little bit too late. And we have lost Voodoo as well. Not entirely sure what has happened there. He caught a glimpse of chat, but was slightly too quick for me to make out who it was. We are waiting for the whoever is hosting the server, I believe that's Cavallor. Cavallor tends to do that. To continue. Lucy Slippy would have wanted 39.8. I think he said at the start and never bothered to improve so much. Mick Schleifer in P2. A very decent lap time himself, within a second, and the only driver to be there. Now, next, of course, the start, and it always proves quite crucial in these races. Mick Schleifer tends to muck these up a little bit, giving other drivers the chance to immediately overtake, and we have seen that result in very, very interesting battles. Of course, being the fastest on track is nice, but if there's a car ahead of you, it's not going to disappear. Most likely. Most drivers tend to stay on the road. But, so yeah, you kind of have to go around it. You have to overtake. Can't go through it. So, let's see what happens. Is Slippy going to run away with it? Is Mick Schleifer going to keep up? What are Nico, Cavallor, Wojciech going to do? Schwarzfahrer in P6, I think that's a little bit low for him, but maybe Inconsistency can make it up. Can definitely see that happening. Bertie Carl here in P7. We'll be seeing what he does. 40 seconds at most until we start. If you want to grab a snack, you have to be extremely quick. And you see the car bouncing sometimes. That means they've exited the setup window. The car resets itself, resets its state. And there we go. And we're off. Slippy has a good start, but Mixlife who slightly misses the start. We've got Nico on the inside already chasing Mixlife down, and Cavalo is right in there as well with his nose, but not far along enough to make a move. Nico does leave some space, but Cavalo is simply not there. Wujek close behind, very, very close behind, in fact. Schwarzfahrer a little bit behind that. And the cars go through the first few turns in the exact order they started in. But there is every opportunity for them to fight soon. Now this track, Cascai, I believe it's maybe an okay track to overtake in these cars. We've got, of course, the last corner maybe making a big difference. So we have Nico being the only one to use their lights. Of course, not mandatory, but it does mean that it's very easy to distinguish him from Mixlife, and that is very much appreciated from a broadcaster's perspective. So thank you, Nico. Also, thank you for providing the little battle we have, because he is very close behind Mixlife and he is keeping up. He has a better run through the last corner. We could maybe see him make a move. Let's see if that turns into anything. Exiting the last corner then on the start-finish straight, but Mixlife had a very solid exit, and he is fast. In fact, Cavalo is more likely to overtake Nico than Nico is to overtake Slifer, and I think that's exactly what happens here. Cavalo goes through before turn 1 even, keeps that position, and also ends up very close to Mixlifer. Slifer didn't have a very good run there, but Cavalo is having the run of his life. On the inside then for the hairpin, is it going to be enough? Mixlifer around the outside is going to hold on. Is he going to hold on actually? He goes a little bit wide, and that is Cavalo entirely through. Cavalo moved himself up from P4 into P2 in a very short amount of time. Nico has to also hold off Wujek, and Schwarzfahrer is not far behind that. Nearly everything between Cavalo and Wujek, and Schwarzfahrer even, is a potential battle. Slippy seems to be far off. That's something we could have expected. Regardless, do see Schwarzfahrer moving up in the world, but maybe a little bit too far off the road. He's fine. Yeah, I think he kept it just between the white lines, kept control over the car just about, and moves himself up to P5. Did lose a lot of time with respect to Nico, Slifer and Cavalo though. That might not have been the desired outcome for him. Let's see if Schwarzfahrer can move even more forwards. Slifer through here. Doesn't have the best exit, it seems. Cavalo, for whatever reason, is the fastest on the straight, it seems. For the corners, it seems a lot more equal. Could it be optimal gearing yet again? Or is it something else they have different in their setups? We simply do not know, and don't think we'll find out. Ooh, that's a big mistake from Nico. Just on exit, too much throttle and the car goes away from him. That is a P4 dropped in favor of a P6 of Wujek and Schwarzfahrer, still battling move a place up. Ooh, and we immediately see Wujek make also a mistake, a lot more minor. He's mostly on track but loses a lot of time with one wheel on the grass as well. Mistakes are so easily made with this car. On this track as well. This is a very tricky track to drive around. He continues, oh, and he goes too much on the curb, has to counter steer a little bit, and that pushes him nearly into the wall. He catches it, but loses a little bit of time. See what's up here then. Slife has a very good exit this time. But Cavalier, I think he just pulls away better. That car pulls better. That is the way it seems. Makes Life going to look for. He looks for it, but it's not quite there, and he understands that. He's got a very nice drift going on. Very good exit. If that was along the straight, that would have been a move, but Cavalier holds on. Mixlifer looking on the inside. Oh, and he sends it. Is it going to be enough? Mixlifer on the inside. Cavalier holding it around the outside. Next corner will be inside for him if he can keep it. And I think he does. Inside and for Cavalier, outside for Mixlifer. And he yanks it around the outside again. But Mick goes a little bit wide. They are still side by side. Mick has better speed. I think that's Mixlifer ahead, because the next one is a right-hander and Cavalier slots in back behind. That is very clean racing from these two. Excellent quality from them. Very strong attack from Mick there. A little bit of a scent necessary, but he did stamp the envelope, so it was entirely legal. Cavalier is not falling back though, is holding on. I think these two have a very similar pace. Despite what qualifying taught us, where Nico was fastest, he did drop back, but that was from P4 already behind Cavalier and Slife. And we do see that Wojciech has made a mistake. We see a fake out from Mixlifer threatening to go into the pits and then says, no, I'm actually not going to, I just wanted you to think. I think Mixlifer is genuinely a little bit worried about Cavalier, because Cavalier is not letting up. He has the exact same pace, and with the slipstream he is keeping up seemingly so easily. Let's see what happens between them. But Tom Carl doing a solid job in P6 right now. Of course, Wojciech I think made a mistake, so dropped back behind. Still driving. Will you see Mixlifer a little bit scuffed on exit there, but there's nothing for Slippy to do. Doesn't make it to the inside. Mixlifer will remain ahead. Now I would really like to have a look at what else is going on. There's not much in terms of fighting between Nico and Schwarzfahrder. Is over a second. Slifer and Cavalier are the only concrete fight that we are seeing right now. Cockpit I think is the best because it kind of mutes the vibrations of the car. And Cavalier is taking all the track and a little bit more. I think he took a little bit too much there. Slowed him down just enough that Mixlifer can easily defend. From potential move, Cavalier does seem to have better speed. Later on the brakes, he sends it? Does he send? Oh, and that's too much, Cavalier. That is a collision. Mixlifer comes out of it relatively unscratched. I think we might have been looking at alternate dimensions in Automobilista 2. That sounds crazy, but trust me, there are alternate dimensions in Automobilista 2. Simply that I think it's really true in every racing game. The game gets, well, if you're playing online with other people, the game gets information about the car position, motion, things like that. Couple of physics parameters. Now it doesn't get it every single frame, of course, that would be insane for every single car. It would explode literally everything, every 30 cars on a track. So everything in between those accurate measurements it simulates with AI models. And there's also the case, of course, that Information takes time to travel. We're in the internet age, of course. We don't sim race by mail anymore. So it goes quick, but there is still time in between sending it out. So there's a predictive model to try and compensate for that. But it's not always perfect. And as a result, sometimes one driver sees something completely differently from another driver. And that's how we get situations where there was definitely a collision where one driver looked at fault on one replay, and then we look at another replay that somebody else saved, where we see, I think, Nico pulling in. He seemed quite slow. Does he have damage? I do not know, but Nico is in the pits. I think he's going to repair damage. Cavalo moves up to P6. Chasing down Wojciech in P5, who is in his turn chasing down Bertie, Tom, Kyle. They're having a decently consistent race today. I think that is a very good first goal if you are driving or new to driving in sim racing. If you want to be fast first, you have to make sure that the car actually stays on track. He's doing a solid job there. He's allowed to defend. Let's see if he can hold off Wojciech. He might very well choose not to. Wojciech has good pace though. A 1:43.1 is the second to fastest lap time that we've seen. A decent slide there from Wojciech. He's looking for a way around. On the inside then, I think Bertie lets him have that. Wojciech up to P4. Might well be where he stays, but Cavalo is behind and he is going as fast as he can. It's got 18 minutes to catch up. Very, very possible. Mick Schleifer goes into the pits. We'll be seeing where he comes out. Wojciech goes by Mick Schleifer, as does Bertie from Kyle. Cavalo also. And Mick Schleifer exits. Nico is nowhere near, so Mick Schleifer will be ahead of him. Slots back into P6. See what else is on the radar. Bertie from Kyle is sort of keeping up with Wojciech. Did overtake him, but the gap hasn't grown that much. Now this man is simply hot lapping. I think that's what he likes in this car anyway, so I don't think he'll complain that much. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's extremely fast and also consistent. A 1:41.0 last lap. Drivers did not meet that time in qualifying. I believe Mick Schleifer was the only driver. Maybe Nico, but he does go into the pits now. That'll lead it. Boxing, presumably for new tires. I'm not sure if they do refuel or not. Probably allowed. Not sure if they choose to. Of course, the animations are completely wrong. This is not what happens. The Lollipop Man says he can go, but Mick Schleifer hasn't finished his Slippy hasn't finished his copy yet. Fastfire goes into the lead provisionally. Jack also crossing the south-finish line, but Slippy is already ahead of him. And Cavalo looking for a pass on Bertie and Kyle. Maybe in the hairpins he can send it, but it depends. I don't think there is enough of a braking zone there to do it. He'll have to find his way past, because it is important to do it as quickly as possible. Wojciech is ahead, and that should be Cavalo's goal. Of course, being stuck behind also gives Mick Schleifer every opportunity to run away, although That ship may have sailed. After the mistake from Cavalo in that braking zone into turn 1. He's dropped back a lot. And even if we factor in pit stops, I don't think there's too much coming back from that unless he has a much faster pit stop than me. I think that's possible. If he decides not to change tyres, if he can manage them, if he thinks he can only do, he can go on fuel change only, just add a little bit of fuel, then yeah, it should be okay for him. So far, people that we have seen stopping have decided to go for the tyre change. You see Cavalo losing a lot of time to these two. Bentham Kyle looking to make moves on Wujek. Now Wujek is struggling. Cavalo looking on the inside, but there's not much there. Wujek, yeah, no, he just decides to box. I get that, but he does overtake the lot of them, and I think they're all boxing. I think that's actually the entire field having box, except for Schwarzfahrer. Yeah, there we go. That was incredibly scuffed and a little bit hilarious. Let's see what Cavalo does. Cavalo also opts for a tyre change. I do think that is in line with what I have heard of how these cars behave. They do seem to be quite tough on tyres, and while in Automobile 2 that's not always a death sentence, some tyres hold up very well. These actually show signs of wear. You do slide them out around a lot. But keep in mind that that is going to change. Not during this race, mind you. They will thankfully drive the whole race with similar conditions. That is good. But there will be a future update that is expected, where the tyre model will change drastically. Cavalo has dropped back a lot. He is currently behind Nico even. Bentham Kyle is still ahead. Wujek, after that pit stop shenanigans, has slotted into last place. 5 seconds away from anyone, but I think a lot can happen there still. In fact, a lot is happening there right now. Nico is looking to make life difficult for Bertie. Bertie hasn't shown phenomenal pace today, but he has shown consistency, and you have to give him that. And consistency is something in racing that will be rewarded with results most of the time. Schwarzfahrer also into the pits now. I think actually Schwarzfahrer has a very good time here. He's going to emerge third because Bertie, Nico, Cavalo, all of them are simply too far behind. Bertie is halfway through the last corner and Schwarzfahrer is in the first corner. Everybody has stopped now. It's a straight up race to the finish. 12 minutes to go. Bertie is currently fourth and fighting to hold it. Doing an excellent job today. Of course, there is nobody. Ooh, that can mandate him. Ooh, no! The caster's curse! The caster's curse has happened. He had been doing an excellent job holding these drivers off, but the pressure gets to him, especially if you're not used to it in racing. If you see drivers behind you, it can get to your head, and you try to brake just a little bit later, and before you know it, you've overdone it, and you are sent straight into the grass, into the gravel, no control, and that's what that looks like. Unfortunate. But up until that point, it had been a very nice performance, and that is definitely something positive to take away from that moment. Until then, I'm a little bit devastated by that. That is so unfortunate to see. Regardless, we are on to a new battle and new opportunities for overtakes on track. Nico is defending against a hungry Cavalo who maybe you could say threw away a fair fight against Mick Schleifer that he could have won. I think he had a pace, but we're simply too far behind. Mick Schleifer showing up as well with a 141.5. Very good pace. They're not going to be easy to overtake on pace alone, especially given that the gap is large. But there's still everything to fight for here. Going from 5th to 4th is still a point in the championship. Now, Mick Schleifer is currently on 25 points. Capital is on 32. If Mick Schleifer finishes second, he gets 12 points. That puts him on 40... no, sorry, I was adding it to the wrong one. 37 points. That will be 6 points ahead of Capital. Well, finishing 5th is 8 points, which means that he will lead only by 2. Now, that is a very small margin. There's a difference between 3rd and 2nd. If he finishes 1 spot ahead, then that will have him sit just a bit more nicely. Of course, will raise his chance of finishing 2nd in the championship, which has to be a goal. Interestingly, though, look at the other drivers in the championship. Slippy, of course, far ahead. We're not gonna worry about him. Schwarzfahrer in P3 currently will earn himself 10 points, move up to 24 points in the championship with that as it stands. Nico Schuking, 12 points in the last race. If he finishes 4th, he will be adding 9 to that total. I say that, is that correct? I think it's 8. Alright. I think I got the scoring system wrong on my head. Yeah, it will be 8 points. He's 7 points for Cavallor, as it stands. Only 1 point ahead. As it stands, if he drops back further, if he makes another mistake, he could be tied on points with Mick. That could result in problems for him. Ooh, as I say that, hang on. Mick Schleifer made a mistake. Mick Schleifer has made a mistake because 2 minute 3 he had boxed much earlier. And Schwarzfahrer is past. Oh, that changes the math a lot. I'm not going to do it right now. I like maths, but not that much. Mick Schleifer has something to worry about, and so does Cavallor. So both of these are fighting for that eventual 2nd place in the championship. He seems to be too far off in terms of pace and points already. 38. 6 points is not a lot between Cavallor and Slippy. You can get 6 points. Slippy's going to be there every time to get even more points. Even if you beat them, it's going to be by a position. Slippy is simply too good of a driver. Mick Schleifer is flashing ahead. Maybe a little frustrated. Or just warning the driver ahead that he is there and planning on making moves. Could also be just saying hello, to be honest. Schwarzfahrer will be worried about me. You can see that he is worried about Mick Schleifer. Actively in his head, because you saw him stick the car further towards the right side of the track, which is the inside, defending into the corner. That is interesting. Does Schwarzfahrer have the pace to stay ahead? Now, I think raw pace, Mick Schleifer just has something extra. Schwarzfahrer is very good at consistency and defending maybe, but I think, was that too much? You might be able to afford it here. This part of the track, I think you're okay. They both slip through this corner. Who is the better exit though? Ooh, Schwarzfahrer maybe a little bit wide, I thought, but he is okay. The fact that Mick Schleifer taking a wide exit, he seems to be okay as well. Oh, and that is a slow one. That puts Mick Schleifer right on the back. It has a better line as well. And then this corner, this one is crucial. Who will have the better exit? And that is all that is important here, because the start finish track is going to decide who stays ahead for the next lap. Schwarzfahrer has a very good exit, seems to have more speed. Mick Schleifer in the slipstream. Is it going to be anything? Is it going to get closer at least? maybe under braking, but Schwarzfahrer holds on. 5 minutes to go. And Slippy is so far ahead. 40 seconds. Excellent job from him. Quickly looking at Cavallo then. Cavallo having a similar issue as Mick Schleifer is having with Schwarzfahrer. Cavallo's enemy or nemesis today would be named Nico. Nico has a very good pace actually. 141.1 is a super strong time. Cavallo is keeping up. 141.4. These two absolutely driving the wheels off this car, but hopefully not literally. Take enough damage that is possible in this game, but it seems to be okay for them. Mick Schleifer has a very good opportunity here. A very good exit out of the previous corner, but he thinks better of it. Simply too risky to do it there. Schwarzfahrer holds on. Of course, Mick Schleifer is an experienced racing driver and will understand that the only time your position matters is at the end of the race. You only have to be ahead. It doesn't matter how far you're ahead, you only have to be ahead on the start-finish straight when the checkered flag is being waved. But if he can get past sooner, the better it is, because you are not guaranteed an opportunity on the last lap. Maybe this is the best he's gonna get later on the brakes, on the inside. Oh, he does make it too wide. Oh, and there is just enough space for the two of them. I think Mick Schleifer went in just a little bit too hot and had to compromise his entire run through there. Too much. Schwarzfahrer in second place as it stands. And Mick Schleifer might be running out of time. 3 minutes to go. Of course, after the timer is up, you do get to finish your lap. And maybe even an extra lap after that, depending on where the race leader is. Although if I was Slippy, you know, if I could slow down and still make the finish ahead of everyone else without having to drive an extra lap. I think I've seen him do it before. Some people do that. In fact, I think we saw that last race in Daytona. Decided enough is enough. You have two battles to watch, and I only have 2 eyes, but they have to be focused on the same part of the track. Cavallo is hungry for that position, and so is Mick Schleifer, and that could be crucial for the championship in the end between these two. Credit where credit is due. Schwarzfahrer doing an amazing job defending. Mick Schleifer is having to absolutely mug him for it. There are no freebies today. Even into turn 1, there is simply nothing there. 1.5 minutes remain. It will be this lap, it will be next lap, but then you are running out of time. Mick Schleifer will have to do something quickly. Oh, and it's actually Nico that, as we were looking at Mick Schleifer Schwarzfahrer, who has to concede a position, Cavallo has completed his mission for now. Let's see if he can hold on to that, because Nico has shown excellent pace. This fight might last. Cavallo for now though in P4 does mean we can put our full focus on Mick Schleifer. And now it is crucial for him to overtake if he wants to catch Cavallo in the standings. This is a good moment to take those extra points. Championship isn't that long. We're already halfway after this race finishes, after it concludes. But he is running out of time, Mick Schleifer is. It will be this lap, it will be next lap. Slippy is on his final lap. We'll be giving him a little bit of screen time for that. But first, we have to see Mick Schleifer is he able to do it right now, right here on the start-finish straight in the slipstream. And this is the last time it will be crossing the line without a checkered flag. We'll have 1 minute 40, roughly, to make it happen. Not into turn 1, though. Schwarzfahrer holds on turn 2. He does as well. It's the curve a little bit. Mick Seifer has speed. Oh, he does have a lot of speed. Is there no collision? Stops just in time. Maybe there was a move there, but he didn't find it. Around the outside here then is covered off to perfection by Schwarzfahrer. He needs a good exit here though. And he gets it. Looking on the inside, but is simply nothing there. See where our race leader is. He's actually at the start of the straight. Checkered flag, and Slippy wins the race around Cascais in Portugal with a dominant performance again. That's not what we are watching here today. Mick Schleifer is driving the wheels off this car because he wants that position. He needs that position to catch up to Cavalo in the championship. It will not be enough to overtake, but it is still extra points that he could really need. Schwarzfahrer will want this second place though. That is 12 points in the championship that he will want. And he seems to be too strong for Mick Schleifer today, who may have to settle for third. I see no miracles here today. Schwarzfahrer. Does he take it home? He's slowing down. Why is he slowing down? What's going on here? What is going on? And Mick Schleifer doesn't want it. And it is Schwarzfahrer who takes second place. I don't know what happened there. Mick Schleifer decides, you know what, boy, you have defended extremely well. Take that P2. He deserves it, and he certainly does. Cavalo in P4 then after beating Nico in a very, very nice fight. And Wójek takes P6, it seems. Betty Tom Kyle, ooh. Having a rough couple of laps, I think, after his first half, I think, was excellent. Very consistent driving, very few mistakes at all, and I think it's fallen apart a little bit for him. At this point, at points like these, you become a little bit delirious. Not gonna lie, you just, you know, have a little bit of fun with the car, see what it can actually do. Not that much. It's very much a car of getting the best out of a limited set of options. Slippy is very good at that, but car has a lot to learn, but today has at the very least been excellent progress for him. And there we have it. Race 4 done. Slippy, dominant performance. Schwarzfahrer, very nice defending. I don't exactly know why he slowed down at the start finish. Schleifer could have very easily overtaken, but he very respectful for him from him. Decides P3 is what he deserves, is what he takes. Cavalo in P4 after a very nice, hard-fought battle. Shuking has to settle for 5th, but very nicely defended from him before that. Very good fastest lap time as well. Excellently done. Wójek in P6 and Betty Donkal in P7. And that was the race for today. If you have been watching, thank you so much. We'll be doing this again in 2 weeks. We'll be going to Silverstone, old version. If you haven't seen it, come here next in 2 weeks on a Tuesday. See you then. Subscribe so that you get the notifications for the streams. And we'll see you next time.